Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I still hope that my topic and my presence can make up to what might have been expected. Very excited to be here today. Christian Adelsberger, I'm founder and CEO of Ubik. What is Ubik doing? We're focusing on making sustainable mobility profitable. So a lot of buzzwords, as you can read. What does that actually mean? Might be the question here. So first of all, what is sustainable mobility as such, right? There are a lot of interpretations, I guess. For us, sustainable mobility has two major elements. The first one, it's all about electrification, utilization of EVs, whether it's a car or a moped or a scooter, whatever, electrification first. And secondly, the utilization of shared vehicles. And it was talked about in the panel before, car sharing as a service, and it was mentioned that the best car is the car that is never produced. And car sharing and using shared assets actually follows that principle because it basically allows us to have 70–80% of vehicles not produced by leveraging the remaining 20% and making them available to a large audience. So if we go back to the slide before, so making sustainable mobility profitable, why that, you might ask, right? Isn't that profitable? And that's the big problem and a big challenge. That has exactly to do with those two elements, that because number one, electric vehicles, and I don't know whether this is a secret, but it's not very often talked about. At the moment, the utilization of EVs in professional, large shared fleets is a loss maker. There is a huge economical disadvantage using an EV because the operational cost to run them is much higher than combustion engine cars. And specifically, the operational cost to take care about the charging, the time the car cannot be used and booked and sold to make money because it has to charge, etc., etc., etc. So that's one of the problems in the industry. The second problem in the industry has to do with the shared aspect. So I don't know if you ever used car sharing, so maybe raise your hands whoever used car sharing services. So you might know that experience I'm talking about. You want one, you want to go to somewhere, you're looking for one and there's none around, right? Or the next one is too far away, it's like 15–20 minutes walk. That's an experience that 70% of consumers have. And so in 70% of cases when people look for a car sharing or shared mobility alternative, there's no supply around, there's no vehicle around they can use. So it's a mismatch between demand and supply, and we're exactly solving those two problems for the industry. So how do we do that? I don't want to go too much into technical details, but basically we run a platform that's fueled by hundreds of different sources and predicts very accurately where demand will be on a micro level, which is like 100 by 100 meters in a city. With that ever-running data stream of information and predictions, we're basically able to fuel a number of use cases, which is automatic rebalancing, which takes care of repositioning the fleet where the demand will be in the future. When it suddenly happens, the rate of 70%, I don't find a car, suddenly drops to 30%, I don't find a car. So a lot more people find vehicles available they want to use in the moment they need them. Predictive charging is very, very similar. We also include data from charging infrastructure availability and optimize the right time for a vehicle to charge at the right position. And this is not one-dimensional because it's not about the maximum charge state of a fleet, it's about the optimal charge state, which again reflects the current need for vehicles out there on the streets. So if you include that, we also go into the battery swapping side, which cares about micro-mobility segment, where we serve primarily car sharing operators, moped sharing operators, and create a level of efficiency and increase their revenue by 20–50%. So this is really a game changer for a lot of the players in this industry. What we also tackled, and I might want to go into this recently, is let's go ahead here. While we were dealing with more and more electric vehicles, and charging those vehicles for our clients. We're talking about 3,500 EVs at the moment that we have under management. We were approached by utility companies. They said, hey, you already consume 20-25% of the overall charging energy in the city. Could you maybe change the way you charge? Because we have a lot of charging stations that are underutilized, that are just in the outskirts, they're rarely used by consumers. Can you go there when you charge the fleets? And this gave us the clear indication that basically we're able to also change the behavior of charging and create additional value to charging infrastructure providers as well as utility companies in the background. So I'll jump over some of those. Automatic rebalancing, I described predictive charging as well. Our core asset is our technical platform, where basically we're able to create those predictions. And then our second asset comes into play, and that is StreetCrowd. StreetCrowd is a community-based, crowd-based service. So basically it consists of hundreds or thousands of citizens that contribute to the efficiency of mobility in their city by actually taking those recommendations that are generated by our platform and execute on them. So basically to bring a car-sharing vehicle to a charger and plug it in at the right time, at the right position, right? Or take a vehicle and bring it from A to B, where in B you have a much higher demand. So this creates an ecosystem, a mobility ecosystem in a city, which is self-organizing and creating a much higher level of supply and a much better utilization of charging infrastructure in a city. So you might think this is something that sounds like a nice idea, an interesting idea. It's much more than that. We are currently active. I'm struggling with this clicker. We're currently active in all over Europe. So these are live deployments with live customers with a total of 13,000 vehicles under management, where we connected to already a lot of the utility companies and charging services providers. And since autumn last year, we also entered the American markets, where we're actually starting in, most interestingly, South America, Chile, Santiago de Chile, where we run the largest car-sharing fleet, or support running the largest car-sharing fleet. Now expanding to other markets, US to follow, actually where we're currently preparing the rollout. As you see, next to the players in the mobility field, like Miles or ShareNow or Gringo and other EV providers, we also have partners in the energy ecosystem. And this is something that I'm very excited about, because we recently closed the first closing of our Series A financing round with companies from that field leading that round, specifically Verbund, Austrian Hydropower national company, as well as Energy 360 from Switzerland and Wien Energie, because they see clearly the potential additional value we can bring towards the energy side by structuring and steering the demand side. Because if we execute our business plan as good as we did in the last 3 years, this will not be 13,000 vehicles into use, but 50,000 vehicles all across Europe, and most of them will be EVs. And we have the capability, a lot of companies are looking for, we have the capability to steer the demand side, to create demand flexibility, ultimately in the EV charging system. And that's something that I had a lot of discussions with charging services provider, because the question is, well, should this be handled by the charging infrastructure or the vehicles themselves? At the moment, it seems, because the state of charge is only known to the vehicle, this is where the trigger has to come for creating further efficiency. So for us, the strategic rationale seems to be clear, because at the moment, the transition to renewable energy, and this is not news to you, that's totally clear to me, but it will transform mobility, because at the moment, mobility in the energy world is something like a downstream energy consumer, right? It's just consuming energy. In the future, in our point of view, it will be transformed into an active player in the energy field. So let me give three examples that we currently work on. First one is a cooperation we do with a Berlin-based company called Swabi. They're setting up those small stations where you have swappable batteries for scooters, for mopeds, for micro-mobility vehicles, where we extend the service and make it possible that any fleet out there of, I don't know, 2,000 mopeds in Berlin is in real time swapped at the right time, at the right position, to create the highest possible level of availability within the street. And this is something we're together with Swabi rolling out currently in other European countries as well. The second case, I've touched it a little bit, has to do with the inefficiency that is created within a city by different utilization of charging points, right? This is just an example of a city where you have those hot zones in the center where chargers are overutilized, citizens complain, chargers never available, blah, 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 and then you have a vast number of chargers which are completely underutilized. What we basically do here, by the critical mass of charging transactions that we handle, that we control, we distribute them to the ones that are basically underutilized, and are, from a business point of view, able to harvest a spread, because what we will get from the charging infrastructure provider is a lower price point for exactly doing that, because we give value to them, and we're able to share that spread towards our mobility customers, and of course us as a company as well in terms of profit. Where is this going? This is a concept you're all aware about. I'm sure about that. But if you think about not just optimizing and creating efficiency for the infrastructure, but the underlying grid that is the baseline for that infrastructure, is something that we are actively working on with partners in the energy field. All that we see as contribution to the sustainability goals by, number one, making it economically attractive to use EVs on a large scale for companies, and also for companies that provide those mobility services to consumers. And number two, by doing that, replacing a lot of those currently combustion engine vehicles which are privately owned in the cities. We're a team of 25 people. We're located all over Europe, headquartered in Austria, Vienna. And we are looking forward to, on the one hand side, contribute with what we do to the transformation and mobility ecosystem. And on the other hand, if anyone's interested to talk about potential second closing joining the Series A, very happy to take on that conversation. Thank you very much.